Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Fans, welcome back to Working Fans Saturday, episode 51, where the man they call Dave and AJ Strangebrew will talk their top Starrcade matches as well as their top 5 of the week. Let me play a quick ad for the other shows here on the Buzz, and we'll bring in AJ and Dave for today's show.
Yo, where's the competition? Bring on the competition. We need some competition. Y'all ain't no competition. It's time to ball. Yeah, shawty, time to brawl. Cause see, we bout to stomp y'all from the jump fall. Me worry not at all. Your team is gonna fall. Hope you learn something from it, cause we schooling all of y'all. Putting you to shame. Don't hate you even came. Bringing the pain to anybody coming through the lane. Simple and plain, we gon' play it like we playing dames. Ain't got a chance, even if we give away the game. So hope you brought your best. Go put your skills to the test. An early off season, about to lay your team to rest. Talk is another loss. That's what it's gonna cost. Go with your instincts if you're having second thoughts. Your buck, this is where it stops, player. From the point to the center, whole team got hops, player. We be the kings of this division, here to knock you out the box, player. Just wait until I get the rock, player. We tired of playing losers. Oh, y'all think y'all some winners? No matter who we up against.
Woo! Man,
Whoa.
I'll tell you what. We had some fun last night.
Oh, way too much fun last night.
Yeah, we were at Bellator MMA till about 1 o'clock. Even producer Joe wants to get on this. He wants to talk about that IPA beer pizza discussion.
Oh,
right
you're
now.
talking about the shits you got this morning. And guys, lay it in the comments. What do you think gave Dave the shits more? An IPA beer or 2 slices of pizza, one
pizza.
with pepperoni on it?
It's the pizza.
I'm telling you, that's something that IPA, man. I'm telling you right now.
It's
I'm
the
gonna say
grease.
it's a little of both, but
I'm gonna
here
say,
to talk about Dave shits. We're here to talk about Bellator 272. And I'll tell you who's probably feeling like the shits today is Horiguchi. What the fuck happened with that knockout?
he's looking forward to when they're gonna fight. That's how much he got knocked out. Yeah, he thinks he thinks the fight is actually tonight now. That's how much he got hit.
Yeah.
The man was controlling the fight the whole way, was actually way up on points.
Was.
And got his ass lit up with a back fist.
It actually looked like I was actually saying, I mean, we were saying at times, me and Sherry both, that we thought Horiguchi was just outclassing him. Like he was taking him down. He was beating him with the fist. He was beating him with the feet. And he kind of scrambled. Like Sergio had a few moments here and there, but nothing really sustainable. And then boom, that's why MMA things can change in the blink of an eye. That's
no matter how classy you are, your ass can get knocked out by a fucking back fist.
And that's why Vince McMahon never wanted to buy a UFC or MMA company, because it's hard to promote when you can't control the outcome.
Yeah, but yet he thought the freaking what was it? The goddamn
Brawl for All.
Brawl for All was a great idea.
Yeah.
Moron.
You guys are telling me that the next time Chris Jericho goes to Japan, he's unstoppable.
He's always unstoppable in Japan.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, AJ, you're a big fight fan, but we know Dave's deep in the MMA game. What other fights stood out for you last week or last night? Jesus.
Last night, was it the first fight with the gentleman Ellenberg, I think his name was. He was undefeated.
Gentleman Josh Hill.
Was it Josh Hill? Okay.
But he wasn't he's not the one who was undefeated going into it. That's the undefeated guy I think you're talking about is the guy who ended up knocking out the other guy in like 8 seconds.
Yeah, I'm looking up this card now.
Yeah, I think you're talking about the one that was like, what was it, Hawk or something like that? And he got his ass lit up.
It's like there's not a lot of well-known fighters on this card. Okay, Johnny Eblin was the first fight. That was a minute 11. He knocked out Colin Huckenbody with TKO in round 1. So, yeah, Johnny Eblin was the guy I was thinking of, though.
Gentleman was I believe, the next fight.
Yeah, Josh Hill?
Yes.
It was a catch fight, yeah.
Yeah, and they actually told him at the end, because he's ranked number 7 in Bellator, they told him at the end that if anybody drops down of that bantamweight, that he's going to be thrown in there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a 4-fight main card. The co-main event was really the only one I wasn't really feeling. Jamie Kennedy and Emmanuel. It was fine, but the night was getting a little late at that point. I thought we were getting a little tired. I was like, all right.
You didn't like Junior Bacon Cheeseburger?
It's a nice nickname, I'll tell you that much. And but to me it was always about Sergio Pettis and Horiguchi, and the fact that we had Horiguchi, who had that title before, vacated because of injury. He was the rising champ going into this. His belt wasn't on the line, but he's basically he had one loss.
I don't think they'll ever book this fight again, because with him being being the rising champion, I don't think Bellator is going to want to give him another chance, since he completely outclassed him until that right hand.
I agree. I think it's the pro wrestling mentality a little bit. Like, all right, our guy got put over. Let's just get the hell out of here, because that was pretty damn close.
Yeah, I found myself early on, because as you guys know, I had an hour drive home. So I was sitting there waiting and going, hey, maybe they'll put the main event on first like they do on wrestling. But
no, it's not how that works.
They didn't do it.
We were up in that skybox and listening to the reaction of that crowd when that knockout happened. That was one of the more insane pops I've heard in the building.
Yeah, they love the knockout. They're not big fans of the ground and pound, apparently, though.
Hey, peek behind the curtain. I just got a text here. It said, if you talk Bellator, I'll hop in. Joe, I didn't see that. I just decided to talk a little Bellator last night, so that's pretty fun. Yeah,
dude, I thought you were going to tell us it was that fighter that you communicated with yesterday that if we talked Bellator, he would jump in.
Yeah, he has not get back to me yet. I won't name him because he might get back to us.
Yeah, when we were doing the advertising earlier and sharing everything. Oh, Randy's got the question of the night. How were the seats? The seats were phenomenal. We were skybox.
Dude, Randy, I had an extra ticket. Where were you?
Yeah, great waitress. She was on top of everything last night too. Everybody was.
Hey, don't start that rumor.
She was great. She was great. You were a little out of control. Keep your hands to yourself next time. Your dad would be ashamed of you. Anyway,
my dad would be proud.
Yeah, he probably would. Yeah. Was there anything else? I'll tell you this. Since we're talking this.
All right,
hold on. I'll get you if you want to say
Evelyn,
something.
Josh Hill, and the main event were my highlights.
No, I thought Chevy was going. He ended up going too. We actually found.
I had another ticket.
As it turned out, it was a last second thing. We didn't know. Apparently, AJ's dad couldn't count, and he had 5 tickets.
Yeah, he thought we had 4, and I had 5 tickets. We did a little raffle beforehand. I'm sorry you didn't win.
But one thing I liked about Bellator. UFC obviously is the premier organization in the world, but one thing I like about Bellator is I like the setup with the ramp. I like the big Titantron type thing they have. It's a little pro wrestling and I also like that when they do these Grand Prix tournaments, they bring up everybody on stage and it makes it feel more important. I like the showmanship of it all. I thought that was pretty good.
Absolutely. The showmanship is fantastic. I'm always a fan of Bellator. I would love to see it again when they're coming back in January. We're going to get to that event, hopefully, and we'll do what the working fans do. We will work so you don't have to.
All right. On that note, you want to hit me with your top 5 Starrcade matches?
Top 5 Starrcade matches. So for me, one of my favorites is actually, and I know that this gets some shit because Sting showed up not in shape, but I am actually, just for what it means to the wrestling business, Sting versus Hogan from 97 has got to be one of the top Starrcade matches for what it meant to the business, what it meant to Starrcade. the year off. He did show up a little out of shape, and as Eric Bischoff always says, a little pasty for his liking.
He didn't have no tan. No tan.
That's and then I also, for my liking, Vader versus Flair is one of my all-time favorite Starrcade matches. That deal that they did where they did the limousine ride to the event, they talked to Flair, they really made you feel like this could be it for him. And it was really a big David and Goliath moment where we thought Vader might kill this guy. And obviously Flair came out on top, but it's just one of the all-time great stories. Now, like the Hogan Sting one, what it meant to the business, one of my favorite ones, that SmackDown, Randy, is January 7th at the Mohegan Sun. And I'm trying to get luxury box tickets for that too, but that's neither here nor there. One of my favorite ones, just because it's such a shit fest, is actually from Baltimore, Maryland, Dave. I think you know where I'm going with this one. Lex Luger versus Ric Flair from Starrcade, I believe it was 88, where he started to bleed. And the athletic commission called the match. And literally he had just a little trickle of blood.
Right. And he had him in the torture rack for the finish. And the idea was kind of be a screw job type finish anyway, to make Luger strong but keep the belt on Flair. But because Luger really didn't blade that well, or whatever you want to say it was basically hardly any blood there anyway.
I've seen people bleed more shaving. It really didn't come across great. And then another one of my favorites, and one of the top ones in my opinion for Starrcade, is Ric Flair versus Sting in 1989. It was such a good match in such a crappy Starrcade. Starrcade itself that year was very gimmicky, but this match just really brought it home, and I enjoyed the Flair Sting match from there. My final one is one that to me, it's the last time. It's not their best match together, but it's one of my favorite matches because it's one of their final good matches together. And it's Ric Flair and Randy Savage from 1995.
Ooh.
And it's one of those matches where it's the last time where both of them are really at the top of their game. And it just is, it's enjoyable for me to go back and watch that, knowing what happens and where everything goes. It's become more enjoyable with time.
What I like about that match is that at that point, Hogan and Savage had really kind of took it over, and Flair was kind of pushed to the side. So it was interesting to see Flair end up actually get the title back, and you had Pillman and everything, which was, to me, an underrated Horseman too. I like Pillman and Benoit with Flair and Iron in that Horseman as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite time periods. So
now my Starrcade list. I also have Flair Vader 93. Like AJ, we've talked about it before. I love the limousine and everything. I like the way this was built up. Also, peek behind the curtains. It was the beginning of me and AJ's friendship that would last for, we're going on 30 years now almost. And
28 years.
Yeah. So like I'm saying, in 2 years.
Speaking of hard times.
Yeah. Some hard times tonight, Randy. You can serve some hard times. So in 2 years will be the 30-year anniversary of this pay-per-view, and that'll be 30 years me and AJ have been friends. Piper and Valentine, 83, the dog collar match. Such a cool match. I've gone back to watch that, and it always kind of makes my list here when I think of top Starrcade matches. Another
I'm not gonna lie, where I screwed up here is I went towards the main events, and I should have left the main events.
You know, it's funny because I think you would have had this next one on the list too. Magnum TA, Tully Blanchard, 85, I Quit, cage match. It is what an I Quit match should be.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the best I Quit match of all time.
Yeah, I'm pissed off at myself that I went towards the main events. Yeah.
And let's see. I got those three. And then I got I didn't quite remember everything about this match, but so Sting and Vader, King of the Cable, 92. I want to include this because Sting and Vader had an awesome feud around WCW around this time, and they really helped carry the company for a while. And I also put this match in there because even though I don't remember anything about the match, I still remember the finish, and I was so into these teams. It was the Rock and Roll Express versus Ole and Iron Anderson from the '86 Starrcade, and basically it's I want to say it's Robert Gibson just drop kicking Ricky Morton on top of Ole Iron, and they get the pin. Yeah, and they've been
It's a master class in tag team wrestling.
Yeah, and the crowd's just fanatics for this match. Or it's crazy.
So, something I want to mention real quick, even though it's a little bit off topic. If you want a master class in tag team wrestling, the Andersons a lot of time get forgotten now. But go back and watch the way Ole and Iron work together, because everybody thinks of obviously Tully and Iron. Yeah. But go back and see that old Minnesota Wrecking Crew, both Ole and Iron or Ole and Gene, and see how they just so much psychology. It's fantastic.
Different animal than Iron and Tully. I am an Iron and Tully guy. To me, the two best like tag teams, like technically in the ring, when I go look back at it now, it's almost kind of hard for me. Like now, I'm not talking about just title reigns and stuff like that, but I think just working in the ring and that Midnight Express and those Blanchard and Iron. Ooh, like they definitely put up some great matches. But yeah, Ole and Iron are a fantastic team.
Not only that, but go back and check out an Ole Anderson promo. You want to see a promo class? Go back and you're welcome, Randy. Anytime, buddy. And then check out his promos. See how he delivers it with that slow, easy cadence. Only really raises his voice when necessary, and then brings it right back down. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he has Ole, especially been watching. Listening to the Iron podcast lately, where they've been revisiting, and you get to hear Ole again. I'm like, man, this guy was good. I did not realize that when I was a kid. Now I'm going back.
I think it's one of the things that made him so scary as a child. I don't know about you, but he was one of those guys that scared the crap out of me.
I still remember in that Flair promo I like to talk about, where it's the Horseman kicking Sting out, and I always talk about Flair. You know, I buy you some time, but Ole was a big part of that. Ole was like basically the one telling him, you know, you got the end of the show to make up your mind. You're not getting the title shot. You're not a horseman, and if you make the wrong decision, you ain't going to be so lucky to be walking around here.
Another good one is check out right after Ole gets kicked out of the Horseman, when he actually leaves the Horseman, and see how he responds to that, and it's absolutely incredible.
Charlotte Flair, baby. Woo. I'm going to talk about a little Charlotte.
You just got to be careful when you speak of Charlotte Flair. She shows up.
You know, we're going to talk about our top 5 of the week. What's not going to make my top 5 of the week, and what didn't make my top 5 last week, I don't think we ended up talking about, was I really hated last week how Charlotte Flair just basically shoved the pie in Toni Storm's face. And then Toni came back and she did it again. Like, could you punk out your baby face any more than that? I absolutely did not.
The good news is Tony's halfway to getting even on the pie tossing now. So
yeah, well, that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, we got Toni like her heat back, but it's like all about pies in the face. Like, this is ridiculous.
The funny thing is I think Vince is just looking at her and going, "Oh, I got another hot blonde with a good ass." And the shame is that Toni Storm can wrestle the frickin' just circles around most human beings.
Juicy Joe's got something to say.
Guys, I don't think this is the first time that Toni Storm has been associated with pies. But before we cover all that in this week's Talk of the Week, I want to first bring up this week's Top 5 of the Week is brought to you by the Pro Wrestling Vault Volume 1. It's available at WrestleVille.com, LanceByChance.com. It is Vinnie Barry's new book. It's got 35 short stories from wrestlers all across the U.S., 3 of those being stories from NWA champions, 5 being stories from NWA junior heavyweight champions. And as a bonus, every book comes with a surprise signature from one of 11 wrestlers featured within the book. We talked to Vinny about that. You saw.
Did I see C.W. Anderson on there?
C.W. Anderson's on there.
Nice.
But enough about Toni Storm and the cream pies. You guys get back to this week's top 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's talk about the top 5 of the week. I realize I have 4 written here, so I'll go with that so far. This seems to be the that does seem to be the rumor. Not about the bigger penis part, but that Charlotte and Andrade, I know they're not in social media together anymore. So my top 5 of the week, Josh DeBoer's favorite. Cody Rhodes going up in flames in the table. I'm sure Josh would have probably enjoyed that.
Josh would have lit the fire.
Yeah, the fire went out.
Josh was like, "Let him burn, let him burn."
Brock Lesnar talking also made my list last night. I thought his interactions with Sammy were actually kind of funny.
I think I agree with you 100%. I think he's been great since he's been on the mic, and I wonder if he's always had this sense of humor.
Yeah. Brock just been like, I don't know who you are.
And,
Are you a fan?
and how many people can actually go back and forth between funny and that's scary?
Oh yeah. He's a different animal. Now some stuff I saw this week. Give a couple shout outs to
100%. Sami Zayn is gold.
He is very much gold. Just a shout out to a few other promotions. Davey Richards winning the Opera Cup this week against TJP.
It's great to have Davey Richards back. He was one of my favorites. Loved him with the Wolves. Love what he's done as an individual. The fact that he left to become an EMT was a waste for society. But hey, it's good to have him back.
And then NWA did a 10 pounds of gold special with Aldis and Murdoch. Basically, they were looking back at some matches and they were promoting tonight's Hard Times pay-per-view. But what's really great about it is with, the storylines and stuff, they mix a few shoot aspects of it where they're asking them questions about Harley Race and meeting Harley Race and Harley training these guys. And it's one of the things NWA does really good. They bring up authentic things that have happened and they still can incorporate. Like, a lot of times people go either one way, they go like too much shoot, or, like NWA knows how to really play that balance where it just comes off, it's all about the storylines, but they make it feel authentic.
Dave, you've already jinxed Davey Richards. He's out with a fractured rib now.
See that?
way to jinx him, Dave. I agree with you. I think the pay-per-view tonight's going to be really good. I love the way NWA does stuff. I know it's off topic, but the match that I'm looking forward to the most on that is actually Latimer versus Nick Aldis.
Oh yeah, that should be great. And Triple Mania tonight. I was gonna say that'd be my fifth spot. Triple Mania tonight. We're gonna have a match for the vacated AAA title that Kenny Omega's out for now. And I know some of the people in it are like Jay Lethal, Bobby Fish, and the guy that used to be Mystico or Sin Cara there. I think he's in this too. Or Kalisto.
Yeah. Every time I see Triple Mania, I get nervous that Vince McMahon is going to try to make 3 nights of WrestleMania.
I'm putting my money on Trevor Murdoch tonight. I don't think Mike.
Trevor, absolutely. I don't think they're going to put the belt on Mike Knox.
No, I'm kind of surprised he's there. But I'm sure they'll do something with him. AJ, you got a top 5 for this week?
Yeah, my top 5 for this week. Once again, I did enjoy seeing Cody catch fire. I enjoyed that, but that's not my highlight of the week. My highlight of the week was actually the women's match from NXT. I thought that they did a great job. They tore it down. It was freaking Dakota Kai versus why am I going blank here? From England, Scotland actually. What's her name there?
Kaylee Ray?
Yeah. No, not Kaylee Ray.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I didn't see it this week, so I don't actually know.
Is it? No, it's is it Kaylee Ray? Why am I going blank?
Kaylee Ray.
I thought Kaylee Ray was the one from that keeps having mental breakdowns.
No, Kaylee Ray is the one who's on the team right now. Yeah.
That's Kylie Ray.
Kylie Ray.
Oh, that's Kylie. Yeah, Kylie Ray's having the mental breakdown.
I can't believe those two names exist in the same spectrum.
They're just so close.
Wait, are you the girl that smiles all the time but's really sad?
Yeah. Yeah, Kaylee Ray I like. The other one can go have a mental breakdown somewhere.
And answering Randy's question, I'm going to go with Bennett and Taven tonight because they've teased problems with Stevens and Kratos. So I don't think they get it done.
No, I agree with that 100%. Another highlight of the week this week for me actually came on SmackDown. I enjoyed the Sami Zayn, Brock Lesnar stuff to no end. Mm-hmm. I think Brock Lesnar's coming out of his shell, and if he could do this for years and they just didn't allow him, I just cannot explain that to save my life. The other highlight is that this week I found out that Cesaro has signed a contract extension with the WWE, so we will never get to see him wrestle great again.
Yeah, he jobbed out last night. He took care of him.
So those are my highlights for the week. There wasn't a lot this week to it. Daniel Bryan beating up 5 was a highlight for me.
Yeah, Alan Angels. Yeah. Danielson's just been great overall. MJF and Punk, not as great as before, but still very good. Let me ask you something. I was listening to post wrestling. I noticed the ratings for last week because of the holidays were a little wacky. I know Rampage was really down, and I know Raw was really down the first hour, but actually got up in the second hour, but was because it was so down the first hour. And then SmackDown, for no reason at all, was like 40% up, like in the demo, like no one could explain.
I think that if the fans knew what was coming in the second hour of Raw, it would have just stayed.
Yeah, it was weird. And then Dynamite this week, I think, was actually down a little bit from Thanksgiving, but not much. And now Dynamite, I know they're having different times where you can see it on the West Coast and stuff, and that's affecting some of it. But I was just wondering, like, you think because we're both fans of AEW, you like what they're doing. What do you think from a wrestling standpoint they could do to maybe get closer to that next level that maybe they're not doing?
Well, right now it's just about the style and the fan base. A lot of the fans that tune into the WWE, and the reason why they get the numbers that they get is because it's such a lineage. It's fathers passing on to their children and watching the WWE together. And part of that for AEW is going to have to be building that lineage and getting friends to watch it with friends, getting people to grow it, because they can't do much more else wrestling wise. They're putting on the better wrestling show. If you actually watch the wrestling, it's not even close. I mean, what they're doing with the women's matches, what they're doing with the men's division, every week they're bringing home they can add a few more names to it. I think that I'm not saying add a bunch. I'm not saying do like the NWO where you just hire everybody, but there are a couple names out there that could actually make a difference.
Sure, like a Roman or a Brock or a Cena. If you got a major name like that,
or someone who's available, like a Bray Wyatt.
Sure. No, I'm just saying, like, like we have Bryan Danielson, we have CM Punk, so
exactly. But like I said, with the WWE, they're living off of lineage right now. They're not living off of what they can do. They're living off of what they have done.
Now, this will not happen. Tony Khan has said this wouldn't happen, but I am curious in your opinion. Do you think a thing that would maybe help them out a little faster is if they actually did go head to head on a Monday night?
I don't think it would.
No. Okay.
The difference is the Monday Night Wars, you had basically WWE versus WWE, where you had guys that were made in the WWE going against guys who were in the WWE. Compared to now, where it would be more of a head-to-head, you would have more of a niche with AEW where they're really growing stars. Yeah, if you look at what they're doing, they're growing people. But when you're growing people, you can't go head-to-head. They won against NXT because it was growing stars versus growing stars. And they were doing better in booking the growing stars.
Yeah, TNA did try that. It did not work out well. So that is a lesson we learned. I don't know. It's a different time. AEW's got a hot fan base, and I think more people might discover it. But I can see to AJ's point that it also could backfire too, and you could just
because you have the fans in WWE who are casual that might tune in just because it's wrestling on Wednesday.
Right.
If you make them choose between the two, they're not going to choose AEW right now.
Right.
Just because they're the casual fan that's not what they're looking for.
If they were to debut on Monday and say you had a CM Punk debut for the first time or something like that, that would be it would have to be strategically well done. And, I think I'd give it, I agree with Eric Bischoff a little bit too. One thing about Punk, it would have been nice if maybe they followed it up immediately with a story. But I do like the long thing they're doing, but maybe in terms of growth.
Well, they also needed to get the ring rust off Punk.
Yeah, I understand that.
Which is why I don't think they could follow it up with a big story right away. Because if he had gone into a big program with someone, he might not have had the gas. We've seen him gassed in matches already. Whereas Tank's not. I know he was doing MMA and stuff of that nature, but there are different, when you wrestle professionally, there's different gas. It's a totally different cardio.
Right. And he hadn't done that in the last year or so either. He had been away from it too. So, but we'll see. I think you're right. It might be just a long game. We just got to keep waiting. But
you have to be patient. You've got to be patient. You got to build. Right now, they're building steady. They're making money. They're doing well. If you put the cart before the horse and you start trying to rush things, then it's going to fall apart. Now, I got to ask you a question, Dave. This is just between you and I. We won't tell anyone else.
Sure.
Is this War Games the one that you're looking forward to the least out of any of the War Games that NXT has had?
Yeah. It's I like Braun Breaker, Rick Steiner's kid, but
I would like to point out, Randy, I've told you a million times now, I'm not wrestling you in the dark.
it's just that to me, I'm not excited about everybody else like Tony D'Angelo, the Waller kid. They're okay, but they're not established names. They're not ready to be in this match. And by the way, the guys who are in this match that they're going against, the Ciampas, the Garganos, those are the guys that are probably going to lose. And I already see this coming.
I'm not happy about it.
No, so that makes me like, I think it could be a good match because again, you have Ciampa, you have Gargano, you have all this great talent. Pete Dunne.
Is the Braun Breaker heel turn the worst heel turn ever?
I didn't even know he's a heel. I can't fucking figure it out. It doesn't make any sense. He's like a baby face 1 minute, then he's like a heel with these guys, and it kind of reminds me of that piss poor New Blood versus Millionaires Club angle WCW did, where it looked like this might be something fun, and it was like, nah, this sucks.
Yeah, that's they've gone back so many steps. We were talking to somebody last night who's pretty knowledgeable, Scott from Voluntown, and we were discussing, or I was discussing with him, basically, in my opinion, they've taken NXT and they've evolved it or devolved it so much that it's not only gone back to FCW, it's gone back to the FCW from like the very beginning when they were working like in a sweaty little gym and Skinner was running the program down there. That's our Steve Kern for you wrestling fans who actually know who something other than WWF.
Yeah.
That's
now they're on national TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Now you're trying to get people to tune in with major sponsors on USA for a program where you do have people that can work. You have wrestlers who can wrestle, but you're not using them the way that we can. When did Pete Dunne become a secondary character? Pete Dunne should be on the freaking major show. Then so you've got guys, Gargano, Ciampa. You've got guys who actually can tell a great story. And let's hope it's his last match in NXT. For Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I know. Too many at one time, Randy. That's the problem, I think. Too many people trying to get over at once.
When does Gargano's contract run out? Frickin' A.
It's this month. So.
It is this month.
Yeah.
The only problem is Candice LeRae's might get extended due to the fact that she is had that baby.
Sure. Yeah. You don't know. We'll see what they end up doing. I hope Johnny goes to AEW. I hope Johnny.
Absolutely. Could you imagine? I would love to see Bryan Danielson Gargano on a major platform.
I'd love to see Ciampa and Gargano against FTR. I'd love to
oh my God, absolutely.
Kyle O'Reilly back with Bobby Fish, maybe taking out the Young Bucks,
personally, I believe Kyle O'Reilly's right where he belongs. That new tag team partner of his, Mini Kali, is fantastic.
Yeah, Van de Kamp Fish Sticks. I love him.
Yeah. The only thing that he's got in common with Kali is his forehead and his wrestling ability.
All right, man. I think on that note, with the Kali comparisons, I think it's time we pull the plug on the show. This is the Saturday Show. It's a Working Fans podcast where
we do the work so you don't have to.